Hey guys, JJ here, back again with another Wednesday of Zoom networking, and we have a phenomenal young man on today. Had the pleasure to meet him in person early on in his rise as a successful investor. Um, as the rest of us, he started as a student, has become now an investor, is now a very successful entrepreneur. He's a family man, husband, father, dad, girl dad, just an all-around great guy. My good friend, Mr. Joseph Marohn. Joseph, how are you, my friend?
What is going on, JJ?
Hey,
I'm
bud,
good, man.
always a pleasure to chat with you. Um, so what I didn't mention is you're in Pace Morby Sub 2 community.
I am. Yep. I'm a part of Sub 2 and I'm also a part of Owners Club.
There you go, man. You are rising, you're escalating. You've done quite a bit in the short time that I've known you, which is
Appreciate that.
why I've asked you to come on because you've really impressed the heck out of me. Hey, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
I'm located in Los Angeles, California.
And what part of LA?
I live in Downey.
There you go. I
Yep.
think Dodger Stadium's right in the middle of the two of us. I just talked to my Dodger ticket guy the other day. I said, I got my tickets for this year, right? He says, yes, you do. So we're going to go see Shohei Ohtani, brother, in the Dodgers this year.
There it is.
There
Tell him
you,
better make sure he has those tickets right, man.
there you go. I got beautiful seats too. Hey, so let me ask you, man. We met through Sub 2, and I've just been amazed at your growth, your ascent through the stratosphere, and the recognition you have in the community. You've done a really good job in a really short period of time. You've impressed a lot of people. I know Pace knows you, but you've also impressed me, and for whatever that's worth. But let me ask, brother, what did you do before you became a real estate investor? I mean, was this always around you? Did you grow up around with mom an agent? You had a contractor? Were you always around this? Or if not, what were you doing before you got into real estate? What was your thing out of school or whatever?
Yeah, no, man. First and foremost, thank you, JJ, for the opportunity, man. You're an awesome go-giver. Um, I don't know if people know this, but you probably do just judging off the call here. JJ, he's always leading with value. Within the first few minutes of meeting JJ, he told me how to optimize my Facebook and my social media. And that's been a complete game changer. And I've adapted that moving forward. And yeah, you just been a helpful source. So first off, appreciate you, brother. But yeah, man, I got into real estate back in early 2023. It wasn't that long ago. I'm only a year and a half in real estate in general. And the reason why I got into real estate is because my background is a maintenance engineer. That's my trade that I'm in. And the reason why I got into real estate was because me and my wife, we went looking for a home. As you guys know, SoCal prices are through the roof, interest rates are through the roof. So even though I was a high W2 earner, the PITI getting a mortgage was about 4,500 to 5 grand at the time for the house we were looking at. Now, I could afford that, but I was basically going to be house broke, and that's not sustainable long term. So I was looking for another way to generate passive income, right? You mentioned I got kids, I got daughters, I have a family to look over. So I knew I had to bring some other type of income source in. I started dabbling a little bit with stocks, day trading. It wasn't really for me per se. I know other people do well with it, but I knew I wanted to get into something, and real estate always kind of intrigued me. So that's the reason why I got into real estate. And how I got into real estate was actually I purchased a book called Wealth Without Cash. It's by Pace Morby. And funny story is, I actually purchased that book, not even knowing who Pace Morby was. It was just an attractive cover and the title. I was like, man, this is catchy. And it came with some bonus material. And then I got to see Pace in action and just the way he translates, the way he teaches, very easy to understand. And I'm sure you can attest to that, JJ. He's just very knowledgeable. And I knew I had to be a part of that. So I ended up joining the Sub 2 community. And that's when my career started, man. This has been a
There you
complete
go.
game changer.
Yeah, Pace is amazing. You know what?
He is.
I mean, he meets so many people, and it doesn't matter how many people are in the room or how long it is since you saw him. He's gonna always remember everybody's name.
He has a special gift, man.
He is amazing. Yeah, no, Pace is truly a genius, and he's truly a very special person. How he helps so many people and is just have to recognize him and throw him some love there as well. Um,
Absolutely.
so let me ask you now, when we get into this game, real estate, want to become investors. I know when I started, they were talking about, well, gee, are you going to be an acquisitions person, a dispo person? Are you going to be a transaction coordinator? Are you going to be an integrator? And in the beginning, we kind of have to wear all the hats till
Right.
we get to a point to where we can delegate certain things. And I don't want to I can't do everything, especially as we're growing. Then we have to bring on people to assist us. Did you wear all the hats in the beginning, and what was your transition to seeing how you could delegate some of that stuff?
Absolutely. I was wearing all the hats. So when I first got in, I didn't really understand the power of networking and building relationships. I was always a go-getter and just figuring out things as I go. And I just started moving, man. I started, learning all the things that you can learn in the mentorship, watching all the videos, and I just started taking action right away. And then as I was doing that, I had a MSA, which when you join the mentorship, they give you an MSA, which is basically a member services advisor. And one of the things that's funny, JJ, he told me, go out and make 50 friends. And I said, man, what is this guy talking about? Go and make 50 friends. I don't know what you guys consider friends, but just meeting people online at that time, I was like, that ain't a real friend. I want somebody that's going to have my back, somebody I can have some drinks with, hang out
Yeah,
with. Right. And, but I did, he said, just follow the process, trust the process. So I did. And that was the absolute game changer because when I bought into the mentorship, I thought I was buying the learning material. I thought I was buying the videos. And those are great. Don't get me wrong. But the true value was the mentorship. It was being around the community,
the people.
being around the people, the like minded people. And so I did exactly that. I followed his blueprint and I started making friends in the community. And so when I actually got across my first deal, I had an objection that I was not able to get past. I learned all the stuff on the videos, but it was a objection about an entitlement for a VA loan. And I had no way to get past that. I was looking things up, couldn't find it. Well, turns out one of my good friends, Michael Manat Sakani, and I see you've had him on your
Oh
podcast.
yeah,
He's an all-star, man, and he
he
was one of
really
the
is.
people I met early on, and he helped me get past that objection, and it helped me close my very first deal, which was a fourplex that I bought subject to no money out of pocket, and it was an amazing deal. And because of that deal, it caught Pace's attention because I shared my win online. I shared it on Facebook. So I always advise people, if you guys get a win, if you get a deal, talk about it. People want to see that. And so I did that, and Pace saw it. His team reached out, and then I ended up going on his YouTube channel and going on his podcast, and we talked about it. And that's what really changed the game because now I went from one friend to like hundreds of friends that now I can rely on. I hang out with. We go to different states together. It's a beautiful thing, man. But community really is everything.
There you go, man. I love how you're sporting your Dodger hat there, but I'm wearing my Lakers shirt here today.
Nice.
So we love kind of sporting, Luka Doncic, Lakers
Yeah.
star. As your business has grown, and this is something that doesn't relate to what we're talking about, but I'm going to ask anyway. Have you seen the need? Have you or have you not brought in a VA? Some people do, some people don't. I've
Yes.
got a phenomenal VA. How did that go about? How did you decide you wanted to? I didn't make that move right away. I waited probably longer than I should have, but in waiting, I found the right person. But I mean, did you wait? Did you get one right away? What was the process like? What was it like getting a VA?
Yeah, funny story behind that. So I actually got a VA right away because when I shared that win, I had a VA reach out to me on Facebook. And when she first messaged me, I didn't know how to take it. I'm like, is this a scam? Like, I don't know what this is. But she started sharing like actual call recordings that she had. And she was pretty good, man. Like I was thinking, like, man, she might even be better than me, And then so I ended up, taking a chance on her. She was only, it was a very affordable rate, and I hired her on, and that helped me out tremendously. So I ended up buying an auto dialer, and I just had her, I started pulling a list, and I just had her calling all day long because I was doing the cold call in the beginning, and I don't know if any of you guys done cold calling, but that is not fun. I'd rather talk to appointments. I want to talk to people that have actually already been, nurtured a
Great.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
They turn from a cold call to an actual lead,
Hot
like a
lead.
warm lead,
Yeah.
hot lead. Exactly. That's the people I want to be on the phone with, not people that's saying, hey, F off and get off my phone line. But
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I hired a VA right away, and that was a game changer. I started with one, and then I eventually built it out to three. I'm not using a VA today, but yeah, VAs are absolutely crucial to your business.
Oh yeah. Now, are you in one state? Are you working multiple states? Do you have a primary market that you go after?
Yeah, so I focus on California and I also focus on
Wow.
Texas.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I have a portfolio in Texas. I have 9 doors out there.
Good for you. And we know California's not an easy market.
It's not. It's a very tough market.
So, your topic, I should have got to this, and we're getting there anyway, is, how to get your first deal.
Right.
So, when we're new, we don't always know what to do. There's a fire hose of information. And there are different paths. There's so many different ways to do this. Um, Foreclosures, Section 8, so
Yep.
many different things to do. But from your standpoint, and you've done this, you've now become recognized for your success and your ability to do this process. What are some of the things one needs to do to prepare themselves or to be in line? Are there habits? Are there procedures? What,
Yeah, so I always tell people to develop the right mindset first, right? Because you need to approach this business with a positive mindset and be thankful for opportunities, right? So you have to change that mindset. A lot of us come in here with broken mindsets, and I did myself, but you have to shift that mindset from I can't to I will, and understand that challenges are going to come as part of the business. And you just have to be persistent and keep learning, right? Stay humble and always be open to learning. A lot of people also have fears, right? Fears of success, and what are fears? Failure, embarrassment, abandonment, rejection, success. Most common being failure and success. Those are the most common ones. But yeah, really, I always tell people to start with their mindset, and change that. And then the next step is to determine your strategy, right? Because there's only three ways to make money in real estate, and that's wholesaling, fix and flip, or buy and hold. Now, there's other strategies that are involved with those three, but those are the three that you always want to start with. Those are the only three you can actually start with.
now, Pace talked about creative finance, and that is many different things. That's not just one thing, creative finance. There's many different ways to acquire creatively. But when someone is new, is there a way that you might recommend for the new investor to look at options for creative acquisition?
Yeah, so like you just mentioned, there's multiple ways to purchase properties or acquire properties. Creative finance being one of them, and I really feel like creative finance is really the only way to win right now because I can go and buy a property, get a traditional loan, conventional loan, and it's going to be at what's the rate right now? 7%.
Probably, if not more.
Chances are, unless I get that at an incredible steal, I'm not going to cash flow on that property, JJ. So I need to get something with a lower interest rate. So that's where subject to or seller finance comes in handy, right? Because subject to, I can take over the existing mortgage. Typically, they have anywhere from 2.5, 5% in between there. That's the sweet spot. Or I could do a seller finance and I can actually purchase, they could become the bank. The seller can become the bank and I can purchase their property with a 0% interest rate. And you can adjust the terms based on how well you're good at negotiating. But yeah, absolutely. Creative finance is one of the best ways to get in. Now, there are other ways you can, purchase cash properties, if you're doing anything like foreclosures. But yeah, creative finance is one of the key strategies that I focus on.
There you go. Yaseo, you are on with Joseph Marohn. What's your question, my friend?
Hey, how you doing? I hope everybody's doing good. My question would be like, what would be the perfect place to buy like get a house at like in the hoods or in the middle class neighborhoods?
All right. So that's a good question. So I'm assuming you're looking at like buying and holding the property, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it can get a little tricky. So I'll give you an example. So I bought a fourplex out in Dallas. That was my first deal, and it's what we call a C class neighborhood. It's not. It's kind of basically the hood, right? And so with this specific property, I can try to fix it up as much as I can and try to up the rent on that. But there gets a point where it's like a diminish of your returns because you're only going to attract people that want to live in those type of neighborhoods, right? You're not going to get someone that's making tons of money and bringing them into this neighborhood, right? They're just not going to want to be there. So you have to choose which area. And that's what I always recommend people look at. Know your market, because I didn't understand that at first. I just was looking at buying properties and just building a portfolio. And since then, I've learned, right? And I've had to transition. And now that property, I'm actually turning it into a Section 8 property. So it just really depends on your strategy, right? If you're buying in the hood, just be aware of that you can't improve it to a certain point where you're going to get, you can only raise it so much before you attract a certain audience. But yeah, so and if you're looking in an A class, B class area, those are great, because now if you have the funds, you get the private money lenders, you can put in on that deal and up it up. Now you can get your rent to a higher rent. Or if you're looking at different type of strategies, right? I'm just talking long-term rental. But if you're doing like mid-term rentals, short-term rentals, you want to be around certain areas. You want to be around hospitals. You want to be around schools, major highways, and all that good stuff. So it just really depends on your strategy and what you're looking to do. If you're doing a long-term, mid-term, or co-living, assisted living, all that good stuff. So hopefully that answers your question.
For sure, for sure. Appreciate you, my brother.
Hey,
Yeah, for sure.
I want to jump in on that if I may a little bit. When we're in the beginning of this game, we're not Tony Robbins, we're not Grant Cardone. Um, we don't always have as much money as we would like. Ideally, in real estate investment, people talk about better to get a rundown house in a better neighborhood than a better house in a rundown neighborhood. And one of the things Joseph was saying is this, that, it's going to be hard to get people to come to a neighborhood maybe where they might feel going to the next level. You always want to. I bought a house in a C-class neighborhood in Cleveland, and we fixed it up pretty good. We put in new windows. We actually added a bathroom into the basement, put in all new interior doors. We replaced the front porch, the rear porch, put some good money into that house. We were hoping to get, double digit 12% return on the original investment. Once we paid off the private money lender who lent us the 50 grand for the rehab, we're now getting close to 30% return on that house, which is just crazy. Which again, it's, the opportunities are everywhere, and to never rule one thing out because it looks like it might not be the right opportunity. And the key thing is, as Joseph was saying, is to make sure, guys, when you're on the call now or watching on YouTube, that you build out your relationship so you have people that you can talk to and refer to and ask questions of, and not just try and go into this all by yourself. And Joseph will at the end of the call ask him, for those that are curious, how to get in touch with him. But I just kind of wanted to tail into that. I think might apply a little bit, and I didn't want to get you into that. You
And
say,
just to add on to that, JJ, I've never done a deal by myself. Every deal I've always done has always had somebody else involved.
there you go. Julie, you are on with Joseph. What's your question?
Hello, Joseph. First of all, thank you so much for taking your time. So appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And then I was so curious. You just kind of answered the first one, that partner up, don't do this alone, kind of finding that out. Really digging into underwriting. I think that's important for you, though. As a newbie, you mentioned the objections. So maybe where would you go, or how would you learn about objections and deal structure first, so that when you're having those conversations, you feel comfortable? Do you have advice to that?
Yeah, such a great question. So I learned a lot of the objections inside of the mentorship, inside of the Sub 2 Vault. But Pace Morby, if you don't know who he is, you need to really get to know him. He puts so much valuable information out on YouTube. So if you were just to type in seller objections or common seller objections and just type in Pace Morby, he will go through every single one of them. And I think he even has some live seller calls that he actually goes through these objections, and you can hear how he navigates the conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you. I am a gator, so I have some access to it.
There
But
you go.
I love that you gave a resource. Thank you. I will go to his YouTube for that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you start to realize, when you talk to so many sellers, it's the same. There's only 10 objections, and you're gonna get the same ones every time. Now, I got a rare one. I got the VA entitlement one, but that's a rare situation. So a lot of them is very common objections that you're gonna learn. But yeah, absolutely. Check out Pace Morby's channel.
I have one more quick one. What do
Oh,
you look for as a buyer when we're coming to you and saying, not a prospect, but I have a deal? What are you wanting us to have?
Okay, so great question. So if I'm looking to buy, are you referring to as you are going to be assigning the property to me like a wholesale deal?
Sure, I'm bringing you like, I have a deal for you. Do you want to buy it? So I
Okay,
just have to
great.
be the seller or the connector.
So when I'm looking at a wholesale deal, I want to be in the deal at 10% or lower on the entry fee, right? And so that's including, whatever the money it's going to seller, money that's going to, realtors, and that's also including your assignment fee. I don't want to be anything higher than 10%, and I prefer to be lower. I'm also looking for, subject to deals. So if you have a sub two deal, I'm looking at 5% or lower on the interest rates. And also, Brandon said it best: location, location, location. I'm looking for certain location areas. So those are the things I'm looking for.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Great questions.
Good to see you, Julie. Thanks for joining us. Troy Caudell coming out of Indiana. Troy, you're on with Joseph. What's your question, my friend?
Yeah, I try to ask the questions for the really new people coming in because I've faced them and I know I've had people bring them up to me. At the start, how do you go about, or how would you go around getting your LLC if you don't have the funds?
Oh, great question. Okay, so if you don't have the funds to do an LLC, um, that's JJ might be a better person to answer that question because I know, if you go through PCS, like you mentioned, it's going to be like $550. If you do it yourself, it's like a hundred plus dollars. You can, I don't know, ask a friend to lend the money to you. I don't know. That's a tough question. What would you say, JJ?
Well, one, it depends what state the property's in. You could do something on your own, but the risk you take on by not having an LLC is not wise.
Yes.
You want to have an LLC. I think, although Joseph and I are in California, California is not a great place to invest as it's got a high buy-in and you're going to make good money, but it's percentage wise, it's a lower return of investment. So for the newer investor, it's probably easier for them to go to the Midwest or the South where they have a lower buy-in and a higher return of investment. And I think, I think for the new investor, uh, don't try to do this by yourself right away. Get in your community, build relationships, work with other people, leverage other people's experience and do it together. There's no need to keep all the money for yourself. Even if you have a good opportunity, bring someone else in, work with somebody else, split the money, but learn as you're doing this together. And ideally, someone that has an LLC is what I'm thinking. And I think the most difficult part of that is to pick the right person. If a new investor has a good lead, anyone's going to want to jump in to, monetize on that good lead. I think the most difficult part about that, Troy, for the new investor is finding the right person to partner with. And that's why I was talking about build a relationship, how to build a relationship, how do we, you know, screen people to decide who we're going to work with. But I think for the newer investor, I think it's probably a better idea, I think, to and as Joseph was saying, he's never done the deal by himself. So you want to, I would say the best thing to do would be to partner up with somebody.
Yeah, and I would even say like bird dog. Try to find deals for people, bring some deals their way, and then get paid. Obviously, you want to get an LLC as soon as possible, but if you don't have the funds, you got to find a way to get in the game, right? So if I got a bird dog and bring an opportunity to JJ's way, maybe get a referral fee for that, and then use that money to get my LLC started. But you definitely want to start one as soon as possible. And just to kind of touch back on JJ, what you were talking about the partnership, I always recommend people date in a partnership
Yeah.
first before you start combining LLCs together. Have your own LLC and then partner with that person with their own individual LLC and date each other for 6 months, a year. Get to know that person because you'll learn in this business that when deals get a little hairy, you start to see whose true colors are who, right? And so everything might seem perfect on the surface level, but as you start growing with that person, you get to see if they're a good fit for you long term, right?
And
Yeah,
in
I,
closing with that, I'm just going to say for the new investor, Don't chase a deal, chase a relationship. Build your
Absolutely.
network before you need it. Don't be concerned about I've got a deal or don't have a deal. In the beginning, get to see what it takes to talk to other investors, to build relationships with other investors, see who you resonate with, see who resonates with you. Learn how to build relationships and getting acquainted. That's what's going to give you better perspective of who you want to do business with. But it's about doing all that lead work in front to build your network before you need it.
And I would even, and I'm just going to add one more thing to that. So here's the 3 steps to success. What do I want? What do they want? And how do I bring it to them? It's that simple.
Evelina, you are on with Joseph. What is your question, my dear?
Hi, Joseph. Quick question. Like when you started, like how do you guys decide, and maybe it's general question, how do you decide on the area where you want to invest? I know you mentioned like your hospitals or schools, but you said you're in Southern California and it's hard to get in, but like and you have some properties in Texas. Like how did you decide to purchase stuff in Texas and hold them?
Yeah, that's also a great question. So I always recommend people start in their backyard, right? Because that's what's going to be closest to you. It's easier to build your relationships. You could be face to face with people. The reason why I went to Texas is because at first I was looking to start buying and holding properties and generating passive income. And as you guys know, tenant laws in California are for the tenants, right? It's not a landlord friendly state. So I wanted to go to Texas. So if I had a squatter, I get them out of there within 30 days, right? So that's the reason why. And also the partner that I partnered with at the time that, we were dating in this dating phase, he was actually already in Texas. So he knew some people there. It was just much easier. He can go check out the properties. And that's when I started building out my portfolio there. Another thing too is like we're talking football and stuff. Like I'm a Cowboys fan, so I've always been a fan of Texas. I know I'm not gonna get as much likes on that one, but that's why I focused on Texas. But yeah, going back to your question, if you are deciding what market, I always recommend it's going to be a little bit easier, in your own backyard.
Another question, because if I want to buy and hold, like how do you guys find the property management companies? Like, is there any good way to find them, or you search, or you by networking you find out about them? Like, how do you go about this?
Yeah, you ready for this answer? Relationships.
Yeah.
Get to know people, right? Because that's how I found my property management. I was building relationships in Texas. And then I just said, hey guys, I started reaching out to people. What are some of the I know you hold properties, JJ. What are some of the property managers you use? Because I'll tell you what, when I first acquired my fourplex, I just kept the property management company that was already on there because I bought it subject to. They were already there. They were familiar with the property. Well, that was a big mistake because that property management was a headache. They were just nickeling and diming me. They were just bringing up, costs and repairs. It was just a big headache. It was lack of communication. And that's when I started leaning on the community, leaning on friendships, asking other people in the area who they were using. They referred me to some property management companies. And the property management company that I use now are also investors. So they understand the mindset and they work with preferred vendors that are, friendlier with the prices, right? So they're not going to gouge you on prices. But yeah, great question. You definitely want to lean on the community, lean on friendships in your market.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I mean, I know I've been living in my house for like 2 years, and they are already on the third property management companies. They just switching them, and there was like some backup stories happen. Somebody, restricted access to another half of the company, and they cannot get contact information. Like that's why I said like it's really important to find a good property management company because they will be running your business basically.
Yeah, I tell you what. So get with me at the end of the call or send me a message on Facebook. I actually have a whole list of questions that I ask. I'm interviewing property management companies. I don't just bring them on, right? Like you can Google search and you can see all the ratings or whatnot. But get on a call with them and ask these questions. I have a whole list of questions and I'll email those over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Great questions.
You're so right on board with that stuff, Joseph. And we had a couple comments in here as well. I believe it was, Brandon, things about the relationship. I believe that was the comment that I saw in there earlier. Yeah, ask your friends. But, I tell people all the time that we as investors don't market we should not just be marketing the business, market ourselves, because what we want to do is we want to get the assistance of the community. But if the community doesn't know who we are, we're not as likely to get as much help as we might like. And
Mm,
so, in order to what I call squeeze the juice from the orange, it's important that we as investors in these education communities that we belong to make ourselves as visible as possible. Joseph, you've been so visible, it's crazy. You're leveraging social media, you're posting, you got stories and all the kind of stuff like this. Again, I think you've done a phenomenal job. Colin, you are on
Hey,
with
how you guys doing?
Joseph.
So yeah, Joseph, my boy, it's very apparent that seller financing is the way, even with buying businesses too. But I'm curious, like, how do you pitch it without you saying seller financing? Because that word is a trigger word that I found with a lot of people.
yeah, so you're absolutely right, and it's more of a trigger word for real estate agents. When it comes to sellers, I mean, you can use seller finance, you can use owner finance, but a lot of times the way I kind of I break it down like I'm talking to a 6-year-old because I don't want to overcomplicate the process. And I'll basically just tell them like, hey, would you be open to me purchasing your property on terms? And then they go, well, what do you mean by terms? And then I go, well, you dictate the terms to me, and then we can structure it that way because I don't go into Bank of America and I don't tell Bank of America what type of terms I want on a loan, right? They usually tell me what terms they're going to give me. So what are you looking for? And, pick your interest rate and, let me know what the purchase price is and how long you want to be on this loan. And it's that simple. So, you know, it just weighs how you frame it. Even when I'm talking to agents, you're absolutely right because you don't want to say subject to or sub to. It's like that trigger word because there's a lot of people watching YouTube and kudos to these people that want to take action, but it's like the first thing they spit out. And what you guys got to understand is creative finance is not always the solution. Right, creative finance is meant for people in tough situations, or maybe there's a problem you're looking to solve for them. Now, the average person just selling their home on the market, they're not going to probably be open to, subject to or seller finance. So it's just the way that you frame it, the way you say it. But yeah, I always say, would you be open to me purchasing your property on terms if I can get you your full asking price?
Did that good, Colin? Do we answer your question?
Yeah, that's good. I like how you are triggering the seller to ask you a question. Like, hey, you're saying something. They're like, well, what do you mean? And then you're kind of
Yeah,
getting
you
them
want to pull them
curious
in,
about it.
get them
That's good.
interested. Right, exactly.
There you go. Colin, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Nice to have you on the call.
You're welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Raphael, are you there? You are on with Joseph. What's your question?
Hey, Joseph, thank you so much for your time. I do have a question about the CRM that you use.
Yeah, so I use Open
Which one do
Dispo.
you have?
Yeah, I use Open Dispo. It's basically
Okay.
a white label of Go High Level. The owner of that company is Rick Sheldon. He's also a member of Sub 2. And the reason why I chose that CRM is because it has all the bells and whistles. It's more of a premium CRM. I started out, going the free route. I did Podio. I know a lot of people start off with Podio. But I outgrew Podio, and I wanted something with a little more bells and whistles, and that's what Open Dispo is offering. So one of the key things I love about Open Dispo is they actually have a text bot, and this text bot will have full-on conversations with prospects as you're outreaching. And so you can start off with text messaging. Raphael, I know you said you mentioned you were working pre-foreclosures, correct? So pre-foreclosures, that getting on a phone with them is highly unlikely, right? So you have to there's two ways you do it. You either door knock or you're text messaging them, right? And so one of the ways that we've been able to get a hold of these sellers is through text message. And that text bot, its only job is to book appointments. It's not there to negotiate. It's not there to go through options. None of that. It's just there to set an appointment. That way, when I get off work for my W-2, I have 4 or 5 appointments already lined up for me. What's great about it is once it confirms an appointment with the seller, it will automatically book that onto my Google Calendar. And so it's just, and it would actually look at my Google Calendar and it'll see if I have any availability. So it's great. So look up that one. They have two different paid options you can do. But yeah, get with me at the end of the call, and I can even Rick Sheldon actually gave me an affiliate link that will give you a discount on it if that's something you're interested in.
Sounds good. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, keep crushing it, brother.
So, brother, we've got some great questions. You have some great answers. Um, Let me ask you, as we roll into 2025, a new year coming in, what's on the horizon for you? What are you looking to do or hope to do, or what's next for Joseph?
Yeah, so I actually started getting a little more into transactional funding right now. So I'm funding EMDs, I'm funding double closings, because I run a wholesale business right now, and I have a small team, and it's great. But I'm trying to generate more income revenue sources. So transactional funding is something I just started doing. But I have a 5-year goal plan, and that is assisted living, residential assisted living. So that's my plan in California. I plan to start purchasing these homes and turn them into residential assisted living and solving a crisis that we have right now with the silver tsunami coming. As you guys know, baby boomers are on the rise, and I want to be able to provide housing for them. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I saw all the struggles and the stuff that my mom went through with my grandfather. My grandfather's 100 years old, and it was just a nightmare getting him to a facility, right? Like a lot of these facilities, I wouldn't even want to leave a goldfish there, let alone my grandpa, right? And so I was like, nah, that we got to be able to solve this, and I want to be able to provide true quality care to seniors. So that's what I learned in this business, right? When I first started out, I was just, a lot of people started like, I just want to make money, right? I want to make some money. I want to change my life. As you start getting more involved with the business and you're around a lot of go-givers, your mindset changes and you're like, man, everybody has like a purpose, right? Like they're not just transactional. And I was like, I want to make a difference, right? And so that's why I'm headed in that route now. So it's like, yeah, the money's cool, but let's solve problems, let's create purpose, and then if we can make money on top of that, that's just the cherry on top.
Joseph, I got two last questions before we kind of wrap things up. One, if people want to get a hold of you after the call, maybe they're on the call now, they're watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line. What is the best way to reach you? Is it your MySpace page? Is it your TikTok?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Facebook. So if you guys want to reach out to me, Joseph Marohn on Facebook. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You can reach out me on there. And I have a podcast as well where I'm helping out newer real estate investors. I bring a lot of people, and I'm honestly, JJ, you are a great representation. Like I look up to you, and I followed your blueprint, man. And I started bringing value to the community by bringing on these experts in the community. And what I started doing was just going over every single topic in real estate, whether it's wholesaling, fixing flips. I bring these experts on and I cover it from A to Z, and I'm asking these beginner questions. See, a lot of people, they don't have access to these people. And I was like, well, I do. So let me bring value back to people by asking the questions that they're typically thinking, right? And so you can get a hold of me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube.
I've got one last question for you, my friend. Um, I talk about networking all the time, and I think part of this answer will relate to things we covered in the call already, but there's so many education groups out there. Um, Thrive, Clever Investor, Sub2, Astro, Gator, Fortune Builders. There's over 50, 60 of them out there, with new investors coming every single day
Right.
to be the social media platform, because every education program has a Facebook page for their community. And so
Hmm.
people are coming to Facebook. Some have never used it before, some have, but not as a real estate investor. And now people that are coming to learn real estate education are using social media basically as a tool, but they're not really using it to network. What is the importance, in your opinion, of using social media to network to build one's business?
Yeah, man, that's so huge right there, right? I think you said it best. If you're not visible, you're invisible, right? And so social media has been a game changer for me to connect with so many people on a whole nother level. I talk about everything. So, if whatever you want to do in real estate, if you want to wholesale, you want to fix and flip, just start putting that camera on and get in front of the camera and put content out. And don't worry about what you're saying or how you look on camera. And just posting more. Join other investor Facebook groups. You know, Pace Morby has a free one you can get a part of. JJ has a great community. You can connect with a lot of people on there and just make relationships, you know, reach out to people. And instead of asking people to do something for you on the very first introduction, ask how you can bring value to that person. How can I complement your business? You'll be surprised if you change that mindset. You'll be surprised the responses you get from people. Right. So yeah, definitely, man. Facebook and LinkedIn, you know, as soon as I created my LinkedIn and I take that back. I already had a LinkedIn. I had it for my W-2. Then I changed it. I'm like, screw the W-2. I end up changing it just to real estate investor. And all of a sudden, money started popping up in my inbox. Private money lenders, you know, people bringing deals to me. So the power of social media is incredible. And we live in a day and age where you guys really got to take advantage of that. So post as much as you can, create as much videos as you can, and just put out there in the universe what you're looking for.
You guys, when you guys are, you know, investors and you're looking to build out your Facebook page, you can come down to a section here where you're able to put in your social media links. And you can put in your Instagram link, you can put in your LinkedIn link, and you can put in a link to your YouTube channel. And you want to have all of these on your Facebook page so people can reach out to you. Oh, look, he's got Instagram, he's got LinkedIn, he's got YouTube, and they can come support your function. But not only that, what I have down here, I want to share with you guys a little bit, is you can actually customize your LinkedIn link to have your name on the end of it. You can customize your Facebook link to have your name on the end of it. You can customize your Instagram link to have your name on the end of it. So some of you guys that are speaking on podcasts and you'll be speaking on stage and one day you'll speaking in front of 500,000, 2,000 people, you may want to put a keynote up on the board for all the people in the room to read. Here's my LinkedIn, here's my Facebook, here's my Instagram. You have the continuity of having your name on all the links. So that's just another thing to look into, guys. You want to have all these links. You want to have them be on your page in this manner as well. But you can also customize the URL itself so that you're, you know, again, marketing yourselves. Joseph, I really want to thank you for being on today, man. Obviously I like you. I think you're awesome. Can't wait to hang out. Dodger season coming up.
Absolutely.
You rock, my friend. Again, what we really want to do in this pursuit of what we're doing is find friends, find people that we resonate with, we can call our friends. And we can surround ourselves with this wonderful people. That's the real gift of life. Doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't have people to share your life with and have people that you can call good friends. And that comes from commonality, similar mindset, and, you know, just cool folk, such as this guy, Joseph. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like Joseph's video. Please put in the comment sections your takeaways, what you like, what you found informative. If there's any way that I could bring you better product, put in there how you think I can improve. Again, if you want to connect with Joseph, it's going to be through his LinkedIn or his Facebook. He also has his YouTube channel. So just scroll back in this video right here and see his YouTube, see his Facebook and his LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me, it's this turquoise QR code. Scan that. We'll take you to my website. Hit the register now button. If you want to see more of what we're doing with our YouTube channel and previous guest speakers, people that are coming up in the future, scan right here for the purple QR code, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You see all the great speakers we have coming up. Again, Joseph, thank you so much. Stick around. Don't go away. If you guys are on the call, do not go away. We're going to have a couple more minutes as we continue to talk to Joseph a little bit. I'm going to share some things with you guys myself. If you guys are watching out there in virtual Atlanta networking, thanks for joining us. Joseph, we'll see them out there on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, right?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys for coming and wanting to learn more and take action. You know, that's the key right there, guys. So you guys are here. You guys all showed up, and that's part of the process, right? So keep showing up, guys. Absolutely. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, JJ, for the opportunity again, man. You're amazing, brother.
My friend. Love you. Thank you so much. Over and out, guys. Please look for more coming up soon.